Dear colleagues and Jeannottat member, I'm a conservator at the National Library of Switzerland, part of a preservation and conservation team of 9 people. One of our major tasks is the preparation of items for exhibition, and I'm pleased to present our approach to you today. My colleague Luzius Dinkel will join me for the Q&A at the end of the session. On the slide, you can see the structure of my presentation. The National Library was founded in 1895 and holds the collections of Helvetica monographs, the Swiss literary archives, print and drawings, and the Swiss sound heritage. The Centre Dürrenmatt is part of the National Library as well. The library has 4 legal mandates: collecting, cataloging, preserving, and making available. With making available, the law means give the general public access to each item of the collection. Exhibitions organized by other institutions in Switzerland or abroad are a great way to make our collection visible. In the early years of the library, preservation was not a priority. For example, the collection was for a long time stored in a building with windows fronts and therefore exposed to natural light, and the exhibitions took place in the large entrance hall where items were not protected. After the introduction of preservation, more and more norms were applied, and this brought on friction between the task of making Helvetica accessible to the public and the task of preserving them. A preservation guideline with recommendation was created to determine the principles for the preservation of the collection. The following clause has been integrated. The National Library makes its collection accessible to the public insofar as the conservation of the works allows it. The use of the holdings may be limited if the condition of the work so warrants. Today, 2 or 3 exhibitions are usually organized in the National Library, 3 at the Centre Dürrenmatt, and we receive a lot of external loan requests. The amount of external loans is variable, but 500 to 700 items are requested per year. The amount of work, administrative and item preparation, is significant and has increased over the past years. It was necessary to create a process to ensure the preservation of the items and to guarantee an efficient workflow. The preservation guidelines to which I referred earlier defines the terms and conditions of the exhibition of an item. For example, we ask for UV-free artificial light only with a maximum illuminance of 50 lux, for specific temperature and relative humidity values, a sufficiently good state of preservation of the work, and that the exhibition showcases make it possible to comply with the preservation requirements. These guidelines are to be found on the website of the National Library for interested institutions. The process is similar for internal and external loans. Requests are to be made at least 3 months before the date for which the loan is requested via online form on the National Library webpage. The collection curator is in contact with the borrower for the administrative part and with the preservation team for the exhibition and preservation part. If the item condition allows it and the terms are met, the loan is accepted. If not, we try to find some compromises. Generally, we allow 12 weeks of exhibition and sometimes 6 for sensitive items. And before we conserve the item if necessary. The external loan requests have some specific tasks. We make a condition report before and after the exhibition for the external loans. We provide the framing and packaging for the transport. The borrower has to provide insurance cover for transport and the duration of the exhibition and takes care of the transport and its costs. A loan agreement between the 2 institutions is signed before any transport takes place. You see on the slide how it looks like on the web page. Here, an example of an internal exhibition that we have this year in March. We have to deal with original items, reprography, multimedia installation, and also 3D items from our collection. And in this case, it's sometimes mounted in unstable constructions. So in theory, the guidelines are followed. In practice, most of the time, compromises are necessary because we have to deal with variable factors. For example, we have more and more requests, which require more time and resources. Since 2013, we note an increase of 270% of external requests. We prepare from 600 to 1,000 items a year, internal and external exhibitions. Exhibitions last longer. For the large majority, it is above the 12 weeks we offer, and often the same items are requested. We also have to deal with new type of exhibition, like traveling exhibition or open storage display. For example, on the slide, you can see the new storage room of the Centre Jeannottat in Neuchâtel, who is accessible to the public. They can open the drawers and the racks, as you see. So often the requests do not fit in our preservation guidelines, then most of the time the exhibition duration exceeds the 12 weeks. Because of this, we added tools to ensure the preservation of the items and to help us decide whether we accept the request or not. For example, we do the framing ourselves. In the end, the frame is sealed, so the item cannot be removed from the frame. We offer to produce a facsimile. We offer the possibility to change items during the exhibition to lower exposure time. And the 3 months deadline leaves us time to decide and prepare. We have a limited amount of items per external loan, 30 per request. And finally, we created a tool to help us for the decision making. The exhibition scale. We were able to create this tool after gathering information from colleagues in other institutions, and it's partly based on the experience of the British Museum. The principle of the scale is, in the case of exhibition projects that are not compatible with our guidelines, or if the item is very fragile, the requirements of preservation and mediation are balanced against each other. All aspects necessary for a well-founded decision are taken into consideration. The result can lead to the approval, adaptation, or rejection of the loan request. The scale is based on various factors. We compare the sensitivity of the items with their cultural value. The conservator fill in the part with the preservation factors, damage risks, transport, light exposure, climate, exhibition condition, uniqueness of the item, exhibition frequency of the item, etc. And the curator or collection manager fill in the cultural mediation part. How important is the knowledge transfer? How important it is the exhibition itself, the part of the item in the exhibition, or the relationship with the institution. The conservator fill out the orange-green part on the left and the curator the blue one on the right. Each factor is assessed with a number from 1 to 4. 1 is not fragile, 4 is very fragile, or in the case of the mediation, it's high for 4 and low for 1. Each value is then weighted according to a survey we conducted a few years ago among colleagues in the 2 different sectors, preservation and mediation, and the final result is set between 1 and 4 on both sides. We also have a fixed number for the exhibition duration. The part that has the higher number is the one taken into consideration. In this example, the preservation is prioritized over mediation. If the scores are tight, the management gets involved and has the last call. Luckily, this is not often needed. We generally find a compromise with the institution with substitute of facsimile. With the use of the scale, the preservation side has to accept that changes, degradation can occur, and with the mediation side has to accept that there can be restrictions. The light sensitivity of items is difficult to assess objectively without noticeable alteration to the naked eye. To improve this accuracy of the scale, we are adding 2 appliances, the microfading tester and the surveyor. They are used in case of problematic request in addition to the scale. The surveyor instrument is used to evaluate the stability of the paper based on the lignin content. Our experience so far, we classify the items in level of stability and we pick some samples for MFT measurement. We use the microfading tester to determine the light sensitivity of colorants in case of problematic loan requests. For resource reason, we limit the MFT processing time to 1 day per loan request or per exhibition. It means that we have to make a selection of objects sometimes, for example, the most fragile ones, or we divide it into groups, types of items. The MFT so far is used only for the evaluation of the dyes and writing materials. With MFT, we're still in a test phase. We are actually defining the parameters right now. And so far, we measured objects that never had more than 5 different colors, and we make 2 measurements per color. And our results so far show that the colorants are most measured examples are more stable than expected. Here, an example of how we would combine MFT results and the scale. So it will be on the value of the light sensitivity. The MFT measurements will give us a precise number for this factor. And in the table on the right, you can see the equivalence of the MFT results with the scale value. For example, for BWS 3 or above, we will write a 1 in the scale as not fragile. So our goal now is to define the parameter of MFT. And for example, the period of just noticeable fade. To conclude, the positive and negative aspects of the exhibition scale and the whole process. As the positive aspects are that the decisions are broadly supported by experts in different fields. Preservation and collection management work together. And it gives us a general overview of the situation. So in this case, the scale gives us really a good overview of every factors. And the items are rarely damaged. For the negative aspects, it needs times for the preparation and also the use of the scale. And then when we add MFT or souvenir, it also will be more time. It's mostly based on estimations. And we can always control if the terms are respected. We don't have the possibility to visit the institutions, and we have to trust them at the end. And finally, as I said, our goal now is with MFT and souvenir to have more precise results for the factor light exposure, and that it will a little bit improve our decision making. And the other factors are still based on estimation. I thank you very much for your attention, and I'm pleased to answer the question at the end of the session.